I want to first begin with you, Dr. Ranganathan. How do you view the last 24 to 48 hours? It's been a historic and momentous occasion for the country. Dr. Sanjeev Bagai is also here with us. But Dr. Ranganathan, quite clearly, there's a lot at stake also. The government at the center would like to project this moment as vindication. And if you believe what Mr. Tharoor had said the other day, he said at least this is partial redemption for the government for some of its omissions. Would you share that point of view, or do you think that the government is being opportunistic, it's being self-congratulatory, when actually it shouldn't be?
Good evening, Rahul. No, look, there's no two ways about it. Administering 1 billion vaccine doses
within 10 months is phenomenal by any stretch of imagination. And I would go on to say it is possibly our greatest achievement this century. Everyone involved should be congratulated, most of all our health workers who made it possible, not to mention the Prime Minister and his team. That has to be said, course corrected after 6 months of laggardness. Rahul, vaccination saves lives. This has been proven spectacularly in the UK. That has also vaccinated majority of its population, just like we have. Vaccination does not prevent infection, which is rather disappointing, to be honest. But that's the way it goes. The Delta variant is a nasty piece of work. Anyhow, with a third wave possibly looming, I'm happy that we have now vaccinated more than 800 million Indians with at least one dose. And going forward, with under 18s also coming soon under the vaccination tent, I'm hopeful that the third wave will not be as catastrophic for us as was the second wave. And here is the lesson that scientists and health policy makers must take from this. From January till May this year, Rahul, we saved 124 million lives through vaccinations. We could have saved many more, no doubt about it. Our speed was a pitiful average 1.5 million first shots per day. That just wasn't enough. Despite knowing the spectacular ICMR result, that out of 110 million Indians vaccinated with the first dose, only 21,300 got COVID. People died during the second wave because they weren't vaccinated, plain and simple. One Indian vaccinated had meant one oxygen cylinder less, one death less. I feel terrible for what their near and dear ones went through, are still going through. Rahul, there is nothing worse than a what if in medicine. What if he had got that drug in time? What if he had got that vaccine in time? If we can do 15 million a day today, why couldn't we do 15 million a day back in March or April, especially when the government said that there were, no vaccine shortages? Notwithstanding the fact that despite being a world vaccine R&D and manufacturing hub, we were 3 months late in getting to the vaccine. And do you know, today, by the way, is exactly 1 year, October 22nd, since the Delta variant was discovered in India. It is 10 times more effective in evading the vaccine-generated immune defense. So why haven't we made a vaccine out of the Delta variant in the last 1 year? My colleagues and I are working on this Delta protein, but only to find new drugs, not to use that as a vaccine, that only giant pharma companies or governments can. These questions must be answered by people in charge because lives are at stake. And I'm hopeful, I really am. That is why I congratulate the government that we will learn these lessons going forward. Rahul, just 20 seconds. This whole vaccination drive has been like the great Indian wedding. The groom's late, the bride is crying, the food isn't ready, there's a power cut, the generator is smoky, the pandit is missing. But in the end, all comes together well, except the Fufaji, who is never satisfied. And we are seeing many Fufajis today.
So by Fufajis, you mean perhaps members of the opposition and other individuals who pronounced dire doomsday or painted doomsday scenarios, call themselves epidemiologists, etc. Okay, well, that's a point of view. Let me bring in Dr. Bagai. Casual attitude to lockdown restrictions, words used by the Supreme Court. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Very briefly, Rahul, 2 points. Number one, I do commend Mr. Sebastien Paul's, graceful acceptance that this is a great achievement, and I thank him for that. He should be commended for that, no doubt about it. Well done, Mr. Paul. And as to the other point, Rahul, that you make quite rightly about the fact that the Kerala government fluffed up as far as relaxations during, COVID was concerned. I'll be the last person to defend a communist, but Mr. Paul isn't that far off the mark because all state governments as well as the center are quite culpable. And if you know, before the second wave struck, the catastrophic second wave, it was the center, the BJP states and West Bengal government that were completely throwing, all the COVID norms to the wind.
There was an election. There
Yes,
was an election,
absolutely.
and Times Now took a very principled stand. We didn't
You
even
did.
cover the election on the
Absolutely.
day
I
of
was
the
there
results
on that
because we
day.
were so
Yes.
upset.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
you were there, part of the coverage. Instead
Yes.
of at 8 o'clock, we
Yeah.
were discussing cephology. We were actually looking
Yeah.
at the morphology of the COVID-19.
Absolutely.
And let me tell you, viewers, I don't believe that politics should be played. I think we should come together and focus now on the next 4 months. The challenges
that
that's
is
been
why, Rahul-
outlined by
Can I make
Dr.
a 10
Ranganathan and Dr.
second,
Bagai.
That is why, just 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Rahul.
30
That's why just
seconds. I have
30
to take a
seconds.
break. Please, 30 seconds, no more.
Yes.
Can I make a 10?
No,
Yes,
please, no
absolutely.
politics,
And that
because
is-
then I'll have to let TMC respond and they'll just go on and on. So very quickly, Dr. Ranganathan, 30 seconds, please,
Yes,
no more
so,
time.
yes. So, I mean, the blame, as far as Dr. Paul is concerned, is that he was trying to, make an excuse for the increasing number of COVID cases and the number of deaths in Kerala. And I remember the CPIM government used the excuse of the ICMR data, if you know, Rahul.
Yes.
That Kerala, only 40% are now, immune to the disease. There are of 50%. But that doesn't wash scientifically because Assam has the same number. And Assam did not see that much of catastrophic COVID rates as Kerala did. Number two, when they were saying that UP has 70%, the 30% vulnerable population of UP is 60 million, which is twice the population of Kerala. UP did not see what Kerala saw.
Yeah,
And
so-
finally, 10 seconds. I am really disappointed with my really good friend Riju Datta because what he said was as a politician, but he is a scientist. I wanted him to say as a scientist. And now, Riju Da, how can you say that vaccinating, 100 million or 1 billion people is a jumla? It has come true. You should congratulate Riju Da, please.
Okay,
They talk
let's-
as a scientist, not as a politician.
Okay, I think viewers, as Indians today, we should be proud of what we've achieved, but there is still a caveat that needs to be put in place, which is that let's not get swept away. We made that mistake once. Yes, a large number of us have a single dose, but we need to go back and get our second dose, viewers. We are one of the highest defaulters right now on that count. Please, all viewers who have got their first dose, go back, make it a point to go back for your second dose. That's the best thing you will be able to do for this country. I'll take Ranganathan and Vivek Srivastava. Nupur Sharma is also there, national spokesperson of the BJP, and representing the Congress is Mr. Chaudhary. Dr. Ranganathan, what do you make of this?
No, Rahul, I stand with Professor Yogendra Yadav, even though I disagree with almost everything that he's done or he's said over the past so many years. But in this case, I think it is tragic and it is shameful, the treatment that has been meted out to him. I mean, he extended his hand of karuna, if I can use that word. And, he did something that was, I'll be very honest with you, unexpected of him, because if you remember, he's the same gentleman who, when a woman accused of being molested and sexually assaulted, he did not actually immediately, if I'm not mistaken, go to the police. He tried to settle the matter or solve the matter internally, which was unacceptable. Now, in this case, his inner voice kind of rose up and he decided to do what he did. It was a very humane thing to do, and I'm absolutely astonished. And by the way, one of the comments that I forget the name, the gentleman who, the second one after Tiket,
Yeah.
astonishingly cruel and inhuman remarks.
Raminder
I mean, what was the crime of the BJP Karyakartas there? Were they anti-farmer? We don't even know that. I mean, they were possibly pro-farmer. We have no idea. They were horrendously lynched and attacked. And for the farmer lobby to boycott or, throw away Professor Yadav like this is, I would say, unacceptable. But having said that, I'm sure Vivek Srivastava would agree with the farmer lobby, because that is how the left operates. It is ruthless. It is totalitarian. And it cannot accept even one small divergence or variance from the collective thinking.
Vivek Srivastava, for those reasons, do you